just heard about is right on the money. The competitive advantage that we enjoy in medical innovation in the U.S. and Colorado is ours to lose. It could be gone tomorrow if we don't make it a priority. This report makes important recommendations, many of which focus on work that must be done in Washington, work that is already being done in Colorado. Our successes in the energy world in really over a 4-year period developing a different ecosystem translate extremely well to the world of biosciences. And so at the heart of this ecosystem that we must look to in the bioscience world has to be research and development. It just has to be. It's something that distinguishes us as a country in terms of our inability to innovate and create. And we see that certainly in the corridor that we have in the energy world with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory and the different research universities that form this collaboratory. But the same is very much true about the bioscience world. And if you think about all of the public research facilities that are currently engaged in the world of bioscience research in the state, it's an impressive group. If you add to that the coming Institute for Microbiotechnology that Tom Cech agreed to come back from Washington, D.C. and run. So you have now a Nobel scientist, a Nobel laureate, running a biotechnical institute at the University of Colorado. It really is a multiplier effect on all of these other efforts. But again, at the core of it are these research institutions. Then you look at your ability to attract people in the private sector, both in the research and development side, but also those who are willing to invest in the commercial side, and the commercialization of those ideas that are hatched in laboratories in Colorado and around the country. And you begin to see that what you develop from this is a whole business prospect for growing jobs. It starts with the investments we make in our public research institutions, but it flows from that into the commercialization of those ideas and our ability to see job creation around this concept of biosciences and life sciences, and really add in a very significant way the things that we were not doing 10 or 20 years ago, but have been doing for the last 5, 6, 7 years in this state. We know that investment and private investment is a big part of that. So we have to make sure that we as a state have made it very clear of our commitment to this. And, you know, it was interesting, as you talked about the R&D tax credits. It's the same in the energy world, the year-to-year-to-year tax credits. It really, in a sense, stymies the kind of investment that would be present if we could get Congress to move on a longer-term tax credit on for the R&D side of life sciences. We've put a lot of skin in the game as a state. I think that may have been what you're referring to about how Colorado's done it well over the last several years, because we just believe that we have to be part of growing this economy. Ultimately, it will be private investment. It will be venture capital, private equity. It's a tough thing to do in the bioscience world because return on investment comes when the concept is proved, and that can take years. That can take a decade. But this is this place for us to take, again, the long view and understand a decade from now we can enjoy really a competitive advantage that is ours to keep for a very long time if we have the right investment mentality now about biosciences. So, again, we're talking about 21st century jobs, high-paying jobs, things that really can make a difference from an economic point of view, but don't lose that part of this conversation that is really about contributing to the quality of life, not just to Coloradans, not just to people in the United States, but around the world. If you visit the laboratories at CU, CSU, and the School of Mines, they're doing some very important things, the Fitzsimmons campus, that will have an impact globally on the health situation in this world. And that's why we should maintain an investment mentality around life sciences. It's been a great honor to be able to be with you. Thank you for your presentation. Kelly, thanks for all the work that you do in this leadership place, and pass that on to Tom as well. Thanks.
I'm Richard Duke. I'm the President and CEO of the Colorado Institute for Drug Device and Diagnostic Development. That's we refer to it as the CID4, as it's a lot easier to say. And our mission is to live in the valley of death. And that valley has gotten quite a bit larger in recent years. And it's due to the fact that we don't lack innovation, we don't lack entrepreneurism, we don't lack inventorship. What we lack right now is education about how to take ideas and move them into the clinic. And more importantly, we lack a real finance situation or crisis has evolved that it doesn't allow us to have enough money to really adequately support that translation of ideas into drugs, devices, and diagnostics. And that really is what we've been working with the state legislature, and I should thank Representative Reesburg, even though he isn't here today, and the governor for their work on House Bill 1001, which was described. It provides funding for proof of concept research at the research institutions. It provides funding for startup companies that license technology from the research institutions. And finally, it provides funding for infrastructure that supports the development of drugs. And there are 4 components to that. The Colorado Institute for Drug, Device, and Diagnostic Development, which actually takes drugs and prototype devices that have shown potential proof of concept in animal models or in other lab tests that show their potential for treating human disease, and to actually take them into the commercialization piece where they will actually go into the clinic. There are 3 other parts of it that actually are a bit earlier in the process, which is actually in the discovery, the drug discovery realm, which is the Colorado Initiative in Molecular Biology that was mentioned, headed by Tom Check and Leslie Leinwand up at University of Colorado Boulder. The Colorado Center for Drug Discovery at Colorado State University, headed up by Joe Giles, who's in the audience, and Terry Opgenorth. And then finally, the Drug Discovery Research Center at the University of Colorado, Anschutz Medical Campus. So what really is the problem, and why are we really here today to talk about biotech? Don't we make millions of dollars whenever we get a drug to market? And the answer to that is, yeah, we make billions of dollars when we get a new drug to market, but it's become incredibly hard to actually get across that gap. America spends around $30 billion a year right now from the Federal National Institutes of Health on discovery research. That's what they've done traditionally for 50 years, and that's why we are, in fact, the leaders in that sort of discovery research. That effort, that public initiative to take that money and discover things, and then to create the Bayh-Dole Act, which allows you to actually move those research discoveries easily into the commercial setting, really sets us apart from other nations. We also have developed a very large biotech industry that was, again, the first one that was supported, in fact, by the Bayh-Dole Act, allowing it to capture that federally mandated, federally funded research. And it built on that because investors were in a new land, and they were willing to take a high risk on something. And we had great, tremendous responses initially and tremendous results. What one might, in fact, call low-hanging fruit initially. Well, the low-hanging fruit has gotten a lot harder to attain. We have very, very difficult diseases to go after. The FDA has approved roughly half of the drugs that it approved 10 years ago. In diseases like cancer, 1 in 18 drugs that make their way into people actually get through to the end line and become a product. And that each one of those drugs takes somewhere around 8 years and $200 million just to find out if you've got a drug or not. So if you work out that number, it costs around $4 billion to actually get a new cancer drug today.